Hi everybody, we're here doing Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, chapter 3, verses 11 and 12. So number 11 says, Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa says, he whose fear of sin comes before his wisdom endures. But he whose wisdom comes before his fear of sin, his wisdom does not endure. Verse 12, he used to say, he whose deeds exceed his wisdom endures, but he whose wisdom exceeds his deeds, his wisdom does not endure. Now, what's interesting about this, it was very exciting when I saw it on Sunday a couple days ago, but when I was thinking about what I wanted to put together, was Rabbi Beryl Wine's commentary on the Pirkei Avot. He's a current Jewish historian, very, very smart fellow, worth listening to. Anyway, I found his copy of his Pirkei Avot at my father-in-law's house. I was excited to find this. Anyway, so the question is, what are we talking about here? Fear of sin has to come before wisdom in order for the wisdom to endure. Now we know that Jewish morality comes from the same place as our mitzvot. It's not separate from the mitzvot. They're both Torah. Now, what does that matter? Wisdom without a base in morality is dangerous. Why do I say that? That's a scary thing to say, right? Wisdom without morality is scary. Yeah, it is. Look at pre-World War II Germany. A very cultured place, very intellectual place. It was well known for both of those things. World War II comes along, they've started a world war. The result is the Jewish people are completely, a good chunk of us are killed, murdered for no reason, 1.5 million of them being children. We've never recovered. Our numbers as a Jewish people are lower than we were at our numbers prior to World War II. The beginning of World War II. We haven't recovered, actually. So that's what genocide looks like in history, in our history. So when you have intellect and you have culture and you have wisdom, but it's not underpinned by some moral code, a real moral code connected to the Torah, you have a disaster. And that's scary, right? We know our moral code comes from God. So, because we also know in the Torah and the Tanakh, in the 24 books that comprise of the Torah, prophets, and writings, God talks about how there are gods that ask their followers to sacrifice their children to them. And God condemns that. We don't do that. We don't sacrifice our children, our elderly. We don't condemn our disabled. We don't say, hey, you know what, you're not contributing to society. We don't want you. And intellectually, you can make an argument that those categories of people, disabled, elderly, and children, don't contribute to society. If you want to make that argument, you probably could. But Jewish morality says, no, that's not right. We have to have a moral underpinning. Those people, whether they are contributing to society or not, have a soul. They are a piece, they have a piece of God in them, and every single person on this earth has that piece of God in them, and we respect that. So whether they are contributing members of society, we don't just, okay, you've gotten to the age of, 80, 85, you're not contributing anymore, you're not going to work, you're not, whatever I'm saying. Every person matters. And why do we know that? Because God said so. It comes from the same place, our morality comes from the same place as our keeping kosher, keeping Shabbat, things like that we say, oh, these are the rules, but our morality also underpins all of this, right? So, what's so interesting what Rabbi Wine said here. And also, so anyone, in number 12 says, anyone whose good deeds exceed his wisdom will endure. But anyone whose wisdom exceeds his good deeds, the wisdom will not endure. Right. So he says here, wisdom has to be based in a moral code. So when we talk about fear of heaven, fear of sin, that we're talking about that moral code. And we also say theoretical wisdom, I'm reading from Rabbi Wein, and accumulated knowledge are enormously important assets, but if they are not translated into actual practice, they eventually prove temporary and barren. A great rule mentioned in Avot is that acquiring knowledge is not the fundamental basis of Judaism. Rather, the goal of Jewish life is human behavior. Rather, the goal of Jewish life is human behavior. That's where we are. That's important. The difference between, intellectually talking about charity, and the difference between talking about the importance of giving charity and the actual put your hand in your pocket, take out $1 and give it to somebody. And the more you do, the more good deeds you do, the more you stick your hand in your pocket and you get used to that movement, that behavior changes who you are as a person. It creates, makes you a good person and creates a character, a moral brick. You're building yourself into a moral person by doing, not just talking about it, because talking is great, but it has to come to the doing. Judaism is about doing, right? It's not just about the learning is great, but it has to come to the doing. And that's what we're talking here. Anyone whose good deeds exceed the wisdom, it'll hold on to the wisdom. But if your wisdom, your talking, your intellectual side exceeds the good deeds, it's not going to stay. Anyway, I hope that made sense. Anyway, have a great day. Just remember, do. Learn in order to do. Judaism is a doing religion, not a sitting. And, telling people what you're about to do. There's another Pirkei Avot somewhere, and I can't think of where it is exactly. Say little, do much. That's also a Pirkei Avot. I can't remember where exactly it is right now, or who said it, but it's there somewhere. Say little, do much. It's all about the action. Judaism is all about the action. Have a great day, everybody.